Coming up, Tzu Chi volunteers in Malaysia help victims in Batu Pahat after a dormitory fire accident. And we catch up with Chen Tuanzhi in Xiamen, China, and see how she is doing nearly a year after her surgery. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Mary Lee. Thank you for joining us. In Batu Pahat, Malaysia, on December 3rd, a morning fire destroyed a furniture factory's dormitory, displacing over 100 foreign laborers. Learning of their plight, Tzu Chi volunteers immediately packed relief items and held an aid distribution that same day, which ensured that these victims had the needed necessities to face the tough days ahead.
In Batu Pahat, a furniture factory caught fire at 5 a.m. on December 3rd, destroying its dormitory. Fortunately, no one was injured.
Ada berapa orang anak?
100 lebih.
100 lebih, semua dari.
Ada Bangala, ada Nepal, ada Indo.
The firemen could not put out a fire until 8 a.m. Learning of the situation, local Tzu Chi volunteers immediately mobilized to pack daily supplies and dry goods. However, when they arrived at the scene, it was already 7 p.m.
My hostel, all my materials, my friend materials, everything, money is lost. I have tension.
Everything is gone. I only have the clothes on me. Everything else was destroyed.
To ease the anxious hearts of the 141 foreign workers, the volunteers race against time to hold a rare evening aid distribution. Although pressed for time, the volunteers know they must include one activity.
I feel much better after taking part in a sign language song. I told my boss that I feel more at ease.
The volunteers' timely aid and care brought temporary relief to these foreign laborers, who have found the strength to face the difficult days ahead.
In Texas of the United States, Tzu Chi volunteers in the Dallas chapter recently visited the Barbara Jordan Elementary School to distribute uniforms for needy students in the area. To reciprocate, the students prepared a small gift of thanks, which the volunteers found both surprising and moving.
How many times you brush your teeth every day? All day and night.
Tzu Chi volunteers in Dallas take time to explain to students ways to maintain good oral hygiene habits.
Everyone has 20 baby teeth. Remember, you have to brush at least twice a day. And healthy teeth help you chew the right foods to help you grow.
Quizzing the children about oral hygiene, volunteers hand out toothbrushes as prizes. The next part of the assembly is the main reason the volunteers are here.
All the staff working together to get the size right, and we go back and pack every T-shirt all have your own name.
Although this was their first time meeting the volunteers, some of the children warmly hugged them while others were reserved.
And I know that our scholars were touched by that, and we don't know how far that will go, because we hope to see that they will spread the same love and compassion for someone in the community as well.
In making this a wonderful experience. It was also so educational.
Thank you.
The students reciprocated with a small gift, which in turn moved the specialist for Dallas Independent School District, Alicia Davis, to tears.
I'm emotional. This is very sweet. These kids are so thankful. Everything that this school has done, I mean, from the banners to putting it outside, I mean, the school's amazing, and they really appreciate it. And we appreciate it, even more so. So I'm touched. I'm truly touched.
Some may have wondered why Tzu Chi volunteers insist on a thorough survey and holding a distribution. The answer has revealed itself at today's uniform distribution. Returning to Batu Pahat, Malaysia, Tzu Chi volunteers recently held an awards ceremony in a local Chinese elementary school to hand out scholarships to 263 impoverished but deserving students.
Tzu Chi scholarship recipient Caucaser is helping his parents at a quail farm.
I thank my parents. They work so hard for us.
Every year, there are many students like Caucaser who are worrying about their family's finances. To help, Tzu Chi provides them with scholarships. 263 students received the scholarship in a ceremony at Zhenshu Elementary School in Batu Pahat.
Students, do not forget this group. After you graduate from college, you can join them and do all kinds of good deeds.
Tzu Chi Volunteers Charity helps people who really need it.
着想哦。我想要当义工。为什么这样子想呢？因为这些慈济的钱是别人给我们的。
我们希望说孩子能够
We hope this good deed can plant the seed of goodness in them.
启发，给他们种下善的种子。
These children's biggest wish is receiving an education and giving back.
We have more scholarship news in Malaysia. Tzu Chi volunteers hosted a New Shoot Scholarship Award ceremony at the Kuala Lumpur Jingsi Hall to recognize 852 bright students. Scholarship recipient Rushan and his family have been struggling financially since his father passed away. Unable to afford a pair of new shoes for school, Rushan and his younger brother have been wearing the same worn-out shoes for the past year. Now that they have received Tzu Chi scholarship support, the brothers can finally purchase new shoes to start the new school year.
There's a lot of hustle and bustle at the Kuala Lumpur Jingsi Hall as 852 students, accompanied by their families, arrived to attend Tzu Chi's New Shoot Scholarship Award ceremony. Among the award winners is 10-year-old Rushan and his younger brother Harish. It's hard not to notice the worn-out shoes on their feet.
I've worn this pair of shoes for a year now. When I'm at school, I struggle to walk around in them, and I have difficulty moving in them too during PE class.
Since Rushan's father passed away in a car accident, his mother has been the sole provider of the family. Although life is extremely difficult, the three of them stick together through thick and thin.
I go cleaning the people's house. I go to the market cleaning. I go to the shop, wash the plate all to find to my kids to eat. Sometimes we all won't eat. Just I make a teo and biscuit only.
When we visited her, she only had 15 ringgits left, so we decided to distribute emergency cash to help this care recipient. When we returned with the money, she was extremely moved because by that time, she only had 1 ringgit left. She told us the school was already pressing her for the tuition.
No matter how tough life seems, Dashni works hard to ensure her children receive proper schooling. The scholarship support has not only lessened the load on Dashni's shoulders, her boys are also able to start the new school year with brand new shoes.
I will study hard and take care of my mom and younger brother when I grow up.
The basic countries, which are Brazil, South Africa, India, and China, held a conference at the ongoing COP20 in Paris to tackle issues regarding climate change. Besides discussing how subsidies from developed countries to developing countries should be used, China's special envoy on climate change also addressed the ongoing smog problem in his country. Here's more.
Climate change affects the future of the human race. As the 2015 United Nations Climate Change Conference continues, the basic countries meet together to discuss the problem and also the smog alert in China.
Smog is not only affecting Beijing but other parts of China as well. So what does this mean? This means that as industrialization continues in urban areas of China, we must quickly undergo a transformation to restructure our economy, industries, and power supply.
China's special envoy also believes that the country should not tackle the smog problem because of the demands of other countries, but rather for the sake of its citizens, while also contributing to fighting climate change. Also, as developed countries have agreed to pull together $100 billion in funds annually between 2013 and 2020 to help developing countries cope with climate change, a transparent system is key to how the funds should be allocated.
Transparency will help strengthen trust between countries. I believe this to be very important. While developed countries claim to have supplied $62 billion, we developing countries do not know where this money has gone to. This is why transparency is very important. The countries that supply the funds should tell us where did the money go and for what purpose. Those that receive the money should show us where did the money come from, how was it spent, and the impact from spending the money. If such a transparent system can be established, such a problem won't exist.
The Climate Change Performance Index for 2016 by Germanwatch and Europe's Climate Action Network was published earlier this week. This year, Taiwan's ranking rose to 52, but still behind China's 47th placement. Next, let's join the conference and see how the experts see this increase in ranking for Taiwan. The 31-page Climate Change Performance Index for 2016 was published at COP21 in France. Coming in at 52, Taiwan's ranking went up 2 spots from last year.
The next reason for Chinese Taipei's ranking is a worse policy evaluation in the moment. So we have slightly better evaluation than last year, but it's still behind other countries, also still behind China regarding the policy evaluation in Chinese Taipei. But if the new plan in Chinese Taipei will lead to reductions in emissions, I think Chinese Taipei has the chance to go up next year.
Besides interest in Indonesia's ranking of 24, various media outlets were inquisitive as to Taiwan's placement on the index.
I think on an international level, although it looks like its emission is high, China has policies in place to curbing its emission. In contrast to Taiwan, in recent years, Taiwan's carbon dioxide emission has been on the rise, but we don't see any specific measures to reduce it.
Taiwan's ranking has increased slightly in this year's index. However, whether it has room to continue to rise is dependent on the enforcement and enactment of the Greenhouse Gas Reduction and Management Act that was passed in June of this year. What is noteworthy is that the top 3 spots of the CCPI were left blank as the publishers judged that no one country has done a well enough job in combating climate change and that every country has room for improvement. The west coast of the United States is experiencing one of the worst droughts seen in decades. The landscape of the Grand Canyon is also suffering from this extreme weather, as local conservation groups fear overdevelopment of the area will lead to hotter temperatures. Let's see how conservation groups are looking to preserve this sacred land.
Hey Steve, it's Roger Clark returning. Grand Canyon Trust is a regional conservation group that was founded in 1985. So our mission is to protect and preserve the Grand Canyon and surrounding canyons of the Colorado Plateau and its great biodiversity and cultural diversity. The threat that trumps all other threats here was climate change, and that is fast upon us. The potential for life on this place on the planet is severely diminished due to lack of water or too much water when it comes in huge deluges.
We have a thing called female rain and male rain. Female rain is a gentle rain that used to be prevalent. Now it's mostly male rain. It dilutes the land, it doesn't really seep in, and it just cuts out the washes. I only spoke Navajo as a child, but I just knew a lot. I mean, it was common sense to know the land, to know the stories, to know things like how to herd sheep. I come from a grandmother that had over 1,000 sheep, and we moved the sheep around. We never lived in one place. There's a whole layer of Western land title systems and grazing permit systems that have been overlaid. Very few families can move their sheep around like I did, you know. So very few families can let the land rest. You got less rain, you got hotter temperatures, now you're overgrazing, so you're creating a desert. All across the res, you're starting to see a desert.
We're really seeing a landscape scale transformation of this region, and it's accelerating.
The entire Southwest has been one of the fastest growing regions in the country. So that puts us into this position where we have much more population that we have to support. Then you layer on the fact that since 2000, the Southwest has been in the most extreme, the longest lasting drought that's been recorded in 1,000 years. Those factors combined put this area into a deficit.
This is a region that was developed around cheap coal. You know, in order to make the desert bloom, we're cooking the planet. We're in effect making it hotter and drier and requiring yet more energy to keep the desert wet enough to be survivable.
Making municipalities more efficient, making agriculture more efficient, and using more renewable energies can actually lead to a surplus in this river basin. And at this point in the health of the basin, we need to start thinking about all of these things.
We really need to look holistically at the environment, at the culture, at the economy in ways that make as much sense as possible. That's a great challenge. The families that live out there, the Save the Confluence families, Renee, Erlene, organized to stop this thing in its tracks within the Navajo Nation. The project is not going away. The developers have signaled they're looking for more money. They're out there lobbying on a daily basis. And we'll see how deep their pockets are because they've got a long road ahead.
For my family, those that have come before me, and then also for those who are to come, our next generations, my grandchildren, their children. I would like to have them see it the way it is now, on and on. Forever.
Chen Tuanzhi from China was born with junior recurvatum. She was one of the only 2 people in the world to suffer this rare deformity, more commonly known as back knee or knee hyperextension. She is now only able to stand and lie down properly thanks to the corrective surgeries she received at the Hualien Tzu Chi Hospital in Taiwan last year. We now see this young lady is faring after she returned to Xiamen, Fujian. Enduring the pain and soreness of acupuncture therapy is Chen Tuanzhi of Xiamen, China. However, Tuanzhi still needs to endure the pain. The 26-year-old who suffered junior recurvatum, or commonly known as back knee, is able to stand and lie down today after 7 painful operations.
After her surgeries, Tuanzhi's ability to walk has continued to improve after coming here. In the future, we will help her learn to walk on her own, which includes climbing up and down the stairs. To be able to do this is very important to her.
Though Tuanzhi's knee joints have been reversed, in order to walk on her own, she still has to endure painful physical therapies every day. The surgeries were just the beginning of her recovery. To help support her family, Tuanzhi has since started working. Every week, she takes a bus from Tong'an to the Lianhua Hospital. As her legs will numb up if she sits too long, she has to get up early to warm up before arriving at her stop.
Several days ago, when I was about to get off the bus, I think the bus driver didn't hear me as I was exiting from the back. It just began to move forward. I was really startled. Thankfully, I held on to the handle, otherwise I would have fallen.
The 2-hour bus ride is really not easy for Tuanzhi. However, the optimistic girl is determined.
Tuanzhi has been working at our hospital for half a year now. At first, she couldn't be without her crutches. Now she basically can do without them and walk to work, go eat, and live on her own.
The bus stop is right by Tuanzhi's workplace. When at work, Tuanzhi is completely focused.
你好，体检是吗？这边写2次，然后填一下电话就可以。
接待来体检的每一个人。
She receives everyone who comes in for a physical and enters their data into our system. She will then have to give the generated health badge to the patients. She also has to call and communicate with our patrons. What inspires us the most is her determination and optimism.
86，那他这个是编号，那我就编这个。
编号，你再往前来。
With the support of her colleagues and the hospital, Tuanzhi is able to make a living while improving her health. Now she also often shares her story in the hospital's events to empower more people.
就是一个小菩萨。
She's basically a bodhisattva. She brings a positive energy to every person around her.
To raise recycling volunteers' awareness on watching over their own health, staff members of Taipei Tzu Chi Hospital held a health screening for them at the Tzu Chi Banqiao grounds.
Bringing medical equipment to the Tzu Chi Banqiao grounds, the staff of Taipei Tzu Chi Hospital have come to perform a checkup for elderly recycling volunteers. The health screening includes tests for cardiovascular disease and dementia.
We have noticed that many patients who were hospitalized after suffering a stroke were now aware that their brain blood vessels and carotid arteries were already partially clogged. This is true, especially for patients with metabolic syndrome. Therefore, we believe prevention is more important than treatment.
The doctor said my numbers were high and need to receive further checkups.
In the past, I had blood tests. This time, they even checked the blood pressure of my legs.
Many of the recycling volunteers are seniors who are 65 years old or older. With this health screening, the medical professionals are making sure they also learn to maintain their good health.
We head back to the United States at the end of our program and join Tzu Chi volunteers in Dayton, Ohio, as they hosted a year-end event at the local YWCA. The event benefited many sheltered women who deserved some holiday spirit at this time of the year. We will leave you with these images. Thank you for watching.